So we'll even probably be talking a little bit about that and the one that we're going to be doing together, which will be Tombstone, Arizona. Interesting. So with that being said, Richard, are you there?
I'm here. How are you doing, Christina?
I am doing good. How are you?
Like you, busier than a one-legged dog at a butt-kicking contest.
Oh, wow, yeah, well, there you go, see, making a reference to a dog, and now my, whole day just went crumbling around me again. But that's okay, hey, that's, I always say, if my life went normal, then I need to start worrying. Something's up.
Right.
Because there's literally stuff that goes on all the time, and I was actually talking to one of my investigators today, Rene Chavez, and he helps host Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond with me. And we were, talking because, a lot of people, they love to hear, my stories of my crazy paranormal life. But there are also many times when I've had people who know me and until they've hung around with me for a little while, they'll kind of come clean and they'll say, we always believed you, but we just kind of thought maybe you were adding, some or, exaggerating a little bit, and they said, but until we're, there with you, oh, no, we know, that's the way your life is. So I've had people apologize to me for not believing that, it's a crazy. And I don't blame people because even when I tell people, sometimes I'm wearing damn, this is crazy. I feel great. What the heck is going on? So, who has this kind of a life every day? Well, here I am.
Yeah.
So how is it for you? Is it kind of do you have one of those lives that stick and go crazy? It's probably going to happen to you?
What we do in this business is not a very natural component of life. When you go to work, I have a regular job as well, and you go out and you talk to people and like, well, hey, Tom, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I'm going to go out hunting. Well, Bill, what are you doing? Well, Bill's going fishing. Rich, what are you doing? I'm going to talk to 10 people.
Yeah, there you go.
and then usually you'll hear a silent, you'll hear a hush come over the crowd. And of course, everyone has a million questions, but between the show we do, the tours we do, the great radio show appearances we do, like with your show, we have just been kept so busy. And it's taken over more of our life than I wanted to originally have happen, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. And, I guess, again, with everything, when you kind of have a paranormal life, it is a double-edged sword. So, you got to kind of take the good with the bad. For the most part, I'll tell you, with all the things that, I do feel very blessed to be able to do everything that I do at this point. Because I'm like you. I'm speaking all over the place. I run 2 divisions of my own group, and now we've expanded, so we have, teams that are joining us and representing our group, worldwide. So it's very interesting. But then I mentor, children with abilities, and I also, help in the community, giving back, things like that. And then, I do little, side things all over the place. Anybody needs some help, they seem to know my number and call me first, because I usually never say no, but I think I'm going to have to revoke my phone number because the last couple of weeks I've had more favors called in than I've ever seen. I might as well have had a full-time job on top of everything.
Well, we were the same way. I actually went out and got a prepaid phone, and I put it on our website, so, in case of emergencies, we have the ability to cleanse, we have the ability to do, exorcisms, whatever needs to be done. And, wow, 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone number's going to come down, and it's unfortunate because, you want to help everybody, but like you said, you get to a point where your plate's too full, and it gets to be, we still, now, it really aggravates the life out of my director and producers, but, if family calls me up or gets a hold of me via the website and say, hey, I need help, I'm sorry, production is stopping, we're going to be this Saturday, but on Friday, I'm going to be over here helping his family. When we get done, we'll begin scheduling shooting, and we'll go back to shooting schedule, but, we got into this to help families out, so they still take first priority. Well, when you couple that with everything else that you and I are doing separately and together, your list just gets a little full.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day that you can do things, although people think that there are many more, I guess. Because you're right, too. And you get a lot of calls sometimes. You can get calls at, like, just 2, 3, 4 in the morning, like the witching hours, great, people get scared, and all of a sudden, I always tell them when they get my number, I always answer the phone. It's always there. If you need me, call me. And people say, oh, but you know what? I would just feel so bad if I called you at 3 in the morning. And I'm like, no, you don't feel bad. Like, it happens all the time. And they kind of look at me like, that's normal to you? Oh, yeah. So, then it starts going off at 2 and 3 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, why do I tell people this? Like, just sleep and now they need something. But I'm like you. My primary reason, to get into this was to help people. I mean, obviously my journey has been a very personal one as well, to try to find answers and things for myself. But for the most part, it is all about helping the clients and things. The only reason I even started, my radio shows was the fact that I wanted to get the information out and get people educated so that they're not depending on radio shows. I mean, not the radio shows, but the reality TV shows that they put out there, and get trained that way. So it's more about educating people, and it just kind of took off like crazy. Now, you have a TV show, correct?
Yeah, we're currently sitting on Roku and on 4 different internet networks, and we're working on an agreement right now with network television. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work. You know how it is, but it's just unlike most things, we got into this, like I said earlier, about wanting to help people out, and we started doing our show on doing residentials. Of course, we never showed a lot of the outside of the house. We never discussed the address. We didn't discuss names. But we filmed our show, a lot of these residential investigation and cleansings, because people needed to see the real side of paranormal investigating and the work that we should all be doing.
Yes.
Instead of, like you said, watching. It's kind of funny that I say that, because mine is going to be an reality television show as well. But
I feel like it is a different type of reality show. Like, we have some shows that are being put out, say, on Roku, because that's like a new thing, where the networks are kind of overwhelmed with all kinds of shows, so people are going to the Roku or online, and it seems to be a big hit, actually. So I'm excited about that part. Now, as far as like with your show, how has the Roku been, for the most part? Because a lot of people I know are kind of wanting to kind of go that route.
It's funny. When I get the numbers back from Roku channel provider, it's amazing. We're Ghost. It's an acronym. The name of Roku is an acronym.
Right.
The word is Ghost for period. That simply means Ghost Hunters of Southern Tennessee. That's where we started out 4 years ago as a group. When I look at the numbers coming back from Roku, 68% of the numbers on Roku are coming from Europe.
Wow.
So, yeah. And we actually have been invited to next year, almost for P.P.R.S. through 2015, we've been invited to come out to Scotland and to London by a promoter out there, simply because they see our show and they talk about our show. I mean, our show had a total of 801,729 viewers last week. That includes all the networks across the board, but a good majority of the numbers come from Roku. And then again, a good majority of those numbers come from Europe. This is, what we do is huge in Europe. It's a lot more widely accepted, although I live in the Bible Belt, I say that, but it's a lot more widely accepted. But I was in Tennessee, so I get beat up quite a lot. What you're doing is not biblical. I was a minister for 3.5 years. Yes, it's biblical. But okay. So I fight that battle all the time, but it's so widely accepted there, and there's so much rich history in Europe. that, they're used to walking through a castle that's, hundreds of years old and seeing an apparition walk across the living room. No big deal,
Right.
So, and the way we do our show is, the first half of the show just about done with our psychic medium. He does his automatic writing session. He does his walkthrough. He shows me his remote viewing when we get there. So we try to show the audience a soft tech, what I call soft tech, or metaphysical side of it. Mm-hmm. And then they see us back up what he has brought forward in his automatic writing sessions, whatever, with actual audio and video evidence. And we've been able to do this very successfully for the last year and a half, 2 years. So he'll come in and he'll present, he'll do his automatic writing session. Like, for example, we just did a house, and a very old home, and he was telling me when we first got there, there was a young girl in this house who likes to sing. She likes to use harmonics to communicate. And we had to start setting up, really. I had a roving cameraman with this, shooting Mark saying that upstairs. And we get upstairs, they start his automatic writing session, and on camera, that is on the show, you actually start hearing a girl sing. So those kind of things to me are validation, because a lot of people have skepticism about psychic mediums, right. And I think in their role in investigations. And I think as long as you're able to back up what the psychic medium or medium, what have you, is bringing forward, as long as they will validate that, there's no way you can debunk it. So,
you know what? I love that you're saying that, because it's funny. When I first started my group, because I was with another group and, was a lead psychic for them, and it was, a long time ago, so, people were poo-pooing, like, if you have a team that has a psychic on it, use a psychics, they're not reputable, stay away from them. And so I was like, okay, whatever. So, my group that I started was a very eclectic group of people who had all different types of abilities. They came from all different religious backgrounds and things like that. We put everybody together, and I will tell you, like, we'll go through, and people will say, oh, well, if you're a psychic, you're not a real investigator. And it kind of makes me laugh, because, I don't know, one has to do with the other, but for our team, the people who are psychically gifted, we are not given any information when the case comes in. Our case managers, who happen to be skeptics, because we wanted to have a couple of those on our team as well, put everybody on there. The psychics will go through first, and they just do a walkthrough of the house, and they have their tablets, and we write everything down. And then when we get done, doing our little walkthrough, then we close all the books, and we come back in with our team, and we investigate, do the rest of the investigation with all of the tools and gadgets and stuff. And then when we get all done, we go over everything, we see what we're able to back up and validate. Whether it's based on, what the case managers are able to pull up and find through different records, all these different things, and then, see what we're able to validate. And once you validate all that stuff, for clients, I'm telling you, they loved it. They absolutely love that they can get a little bit more information than they would normally get.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think?
To me, it's a blessing to have. But see, in our team, similarly with some teams, Mark has his abilities. He's been doing this 43 years. Bar none, the best I've ever seen. No offense to anybody. I have some abilities as a sensitive and some psychic ability as well. Then you've got my wife who's empathic.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get this in a room, it's like somebody just turned on a paranormal generator.
The comes in.
Honestly it is. And what's really funny is that we just picked up a brand new production company, and none of the camera operators have ever done anything paranormal before. So none of them have ever had a paranormal experience until the first time they filmed with us, and one quit. He was done. He actually, the second show we did at the Right Hotel in Chatsworth, Georgia. He was up on the third floor. Now, Mark had discussed the same thing. Mark was not told anything. He comes with somebody in the car. He doesn't get an address. If you start talking about the plane, he says, put your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 and walk out.
Right. Right.
To me, that's another mode of validation for me as an investigator. But, Mark had said, before we even began, there's a poltergeist entity up on the third floor. It's very strong. And you need to be careful because, he likes to mess with people. So this camera guy, I guess, really just didn't really think about it a whole lot.
Probably thought it was whatever, dude.
Yeah, he was like, okay, this is all fun and games. That's really what he thought. He said, well, I'll do my job. I'm the camera operator. I'll do my job. And what happened was he turned the camera for some reason towards the mirror, and right in the mirror was this poltergeist entity in full form.
Oh, wow.
And literally, my investigator, thankfully, has 2-camera system on this guy. My investigator said all he did was turn around real quick and lay on the floor in an Indian style position and didn't move until we were done.
Oh, wow.
And then he came downstairs and he said, Can I go? Please, can I go? I'm like, yeah, go. Yeah, he was done. And he had filmed for about 10 years in Telemundo and, several years on NBC affiliates and,
But in a way, I like that, though. We have a lot of, people, we'll come across and, same thing. They're skeptics. They don't believe anything. I mean, my abilities I've had them my whole life. Never been a doubt about it. They've always been here. And they got stronger after I had my near-death experience. But again, people, they're just kind of like when you say psychic accounts or whatever, or paranormal investigating. But when they come and they have that first personal experience, and especially, like you get these people like, oh, I know, but there's no such thing. And then, they're the ones over-crowed up like a little baby, once they find, out what's really going on. And there are, again, a lot of people who are learning off of watching, the network television shows. And, yes, unfortunately, for a Bigfoot, and I want to get your opinion on it, on if you think this has anything to do with it. I've been telling people for a while, I started noticing that once the TV shows started coming out and all this stuff, and especially, and I won't say any names, but we'll obviously know who it is, get a person who wants to go out there and provoke all the time.
Oh, yes.
And then we see...
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And it ended up, that people all of a sudden had this fascination, and they were like, oh, okay, so that's probably why I've numbered. We've got to go out and provoke. And, I've had teams that, I've had to end up taking over their cases, and it gets really bad after, obviously, they were out provoking, and then they get scared, they leave the family in a lurch, and what do we do? And now all hell's broken loose at their home. The thing that I've been asking a lot of the people and my guests are, do you think that the paranormal field, because of all this stuff, needs to have some kind of governing agency over it, or some kind of training, some kind of something? Because we're finding that anybody who has a friend and can create a Facebook page and has watched a show is now a team, and they're I care less about people wanting to investigate. We need researchers and investigators, hands down, but not taking private clients on when they have no clue what they're doing other than watching a show. And if we look, I even had a client recently that came to us, and they had some other teams come and help them. And one of the teams, ran out and refused to come back, and said, well, we're just going to let you know that you definitely have demons here. And the witness said, well, how do you know that? And he's like, same thing. We've seen on TV. We know what to expect. We're the experts. But we don't get rid of these things. You'll have to call somebody else because we don't know what to do. And I'm thinking, well, then you don't need to be helping private clients. And one of the things that, these teams will say is, hey, when you watch, say, Ghost Hunters or any of these things, they don't, fix the situation for the clients. They just go out and say, yes, you've got ghosts, or no, you don't.
Yeah.
But that's TV. That's not how things go. People don't want you to come in and say, oh, yeah, you've got this. By the time they call us, they're pretty damn sure that they already have something going on, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So they want your validation, but they want help. And if you don't know how to help them, you should either, number one, put your ego aside and say, this is more than, we can take on, but we can help find you somebody to help you. Or they just need to stop going to people's homes, period. But what are your thoughts on discovering an agent or training?
Well, I think I'm about to make a few enemies because I'm very upfront. I don't BS the public. So here's my reality 2 cents. Shows like Ghost Hunters, if you notice the show now, people who watch the show, they don't do private residences anymore. They do, regular buildings that are supposedly haunted because they can't cleanse. So, they can't, like they used to back in the day, they would go to a private house. And listen, we caught 3 crazy EVPs, the door slammed on us, have a good life. They would leave. Thankfully, to that regard, that show hasn't got a lot of life left in it anymore. You'll never see another Ghost Hunters ever again. The days of reality television ghost hunting shows or paranormal research shows where 42 minutes of the television show is done in green light and nothing gets done is over. Mm-hmm. So when they go by the wayside, which now, from what I understand, they've lost another 4 cast members of that show. So that show's on its way out. Now, the other one. Now, I have some personal interest saying a whole lot about that with somebody because I just got done spending a week in Las Vegas filming with Zach Vegas. Doing a show with him and Aaron called Aftershocks. The thing is that my team, and if he asked me on camera, I told him something, actually, as a matter of fact, when we talked about the location I was doing, he even said to me, so what do you recommend for people from here? Right off the bat, I said, do not provoke. Don't provoke anything. And he kind of looked at me kind of weird when I said that. But the thing is here's the reality of it. And I can't say much because back in the day, in my ignorance, years and years ago, I had done the same thing. Then I met a guy named Mark Foltz, who's our medium at Museum. Mm-hmm. This guy has taught me so much respect and compassion for the dead. What people have to realize is the dead you're dealing with have lived their lives, most of the time have suffered horrific death, or either way have suffered a physical death. Their life is pretty confused now as it is in the state they're in. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to go out there and you're going to poke a stick at them?
Right.
Are you serious? To me, it makes absolutely sense. We have garnered more evidence on our show by being compassionate and asking questions if they were alive than we had ever getting the nasty reaction of poking a stick at them and provoking them. I'll allow it. Even your guest investigators on our show, I tell them before the show even begins filming, do not provoke, I'll take you all set.
Right.
We're just not about it. We're just not about it.
Well, I think that's important.
I think it should be. No, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think what you're saying is, that is very, very important. If I always tell people it's no different than if we walked into somebody's home.
Right.
Like if we walk in there and we want to interact with them and we're, respectful and nice, we're going to probably get some conversation back. But if we walked in there and started calling the people every name in the book, hey, and if you better talk to me right now, if it's good for you, I'll get rid of your ass. What they expect they're going to do.
Yeah. And again, too, when you're dealing with a residential investigation, a lot of times you're dealing with relatives. Mm-hmm. So you go into this thing and you're like, you want to talk smack to grandma?
Right. Right.
What's wrong with you? So yeah, you talk about governing body. That's an interesting concept. The problem with it is that it could never be the government. My God, it could never be the government. But I think I think if you had an elected governing body to say, look, you can have a team, but before you do residential investigations, you need to be certified this, and this. You need to have an chance with another team or medium psychic or someone that can remove the activity that's going on in the home before you engage the private residence. That would be something I think would be perfect, because I, like you, have had to go in with my team and clean up the mess.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it seems like more and more all the time.
Yeah, and you can always use to go out here and get a couple of digital recorders, and that usually camera, and they call themselves ghost hunters. And then they convince the poor populace to go out there and say, well, no, you can let us in your home. It'll be okay. We know what we're doing. We've seen it on TV. Sure we do. And they go in there and they crank up the activity and they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a case not too long ago where a lady called us in tears because whenever was in the house was screwing with the kids, and I'm a big kid, well, I'm not your kid. I get upset,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I called these guys, and I didn't see when she said the name, I'm like, oh, God. And they came in the house, and because they were after the kids, one of the investigators, of course, we don't allow the homeowner in the house for any investigation. No, no, we don't. They dragged the kid through the house by the arm, saying, if you want this kid, you're going to come to me. They dragged the kid through the house. And I'm like, oh, my God, man, I was so sorry. So we were out there that night, and went out there and were able to save and sludge out, the bad guy. We used vinegar water to clear out the one nasty entity downstairs. Then we drowned the house out and everything else with a bonding ring. And, people do stories.
I don't doubt it. I mean, I've been investigating publicly, in the public eye for the last almost 13 years now. And, obviously it has changed a lot, over the years. But back when I started, there were literally in California, for Northern California, there were 4 teams. That's it. Now, there's close to 1,000 teams.
Oh, yeah. It's scary.
Just part of California. So, again, being a client, and I think this is part of the issue, too, is that how does a client know who is a reputable team? Because people just have the concept that they look for, people say, on these registries and things like that.
Yeah.
What people need to remember is that in these registries, you are not chosen to be on this registry or, asked. All that these people are doing is like, oh, I want to be on a registry and get more cases, so I'll just put my information in. They're putting their information in. So nobody has said, yes, this is a, qualified team, anything like that. So a lot of the public is, really misunderstands, a lot of things out there. And then there's also a whole lot of hoopla. I tell us all the time, but it just absolutely drives me crazy. Like last year sometime I was driving up the road and on the freeway, and I'm coming up on this van, and it looked like a plumber's van is what it reminded me of, with, the ladders on the side and up on the top and everything. And as I got, I could see it was like wrapped, so I thought it had an advertisement wrap, and I thought maybe it was like Roto-Rooter or something. And I pulled up and I passed next to it. I saw, and it said, big bold letters, the name of the team. And then underneath it, it said, if you've got ghosts, we can get rid of them, guaranteed. And then they said, we're licensed, bonded, and insured. And I thought, what in the hell? No, I'm not licensed, and I'm sure they're not insured or bonded. I don't even know anyone who does that.
Yeah, we're insured. Most of that comes from, the TV show. You go into old homes, old buildings, you go on the side. So it's like, I feel official now. And I got it. This show, I told you this, because my wife is my lead investigator in show voice and block and the things that he does. And when I got it, I found out why they call you all women. Do you know why they call you all women?
No.
You're one sitting there going, whoa, man. Whoa, man. What are you doing? So that's the title of Whoa, man. And she kind of laughed and chuckled about the sticker. Then, irritation is proudly put on our bumper. But, you think about the impact of something like that. We mean it as a joke, but there are people out there going, well, I'm a certified expert ghost hunter. Well,
yes.
Really?
Yes.
Who certified you the ghost?
And what makes anybody other than their own ego think that they're an expert in this field?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we talked to the location that we're actually shooting our show at next weekend, and the previous owners of the building had a placard up on the wall that some team had gone out there and had, "This is a certified haunted location." What? Yeah, what?
So now teams can certify something's haunted, huh?
Hey, I can walk through the park and it's haunted. What?
Right.
You know,
anywhere you go, I hate to say, anywhere you go out in the world, there's going to be spiritual activity. It's everywhere. And I wish people could sometimes see it the way I do. Because it's like, you know, being on a busy Manhattan street, or like right in downtown New York, you know, like nobody ever sleeps and they're always around, they always need something. You know, it's crazy. That's why I always laugh when I see, you know, teams trying to, you know, get the funds together to be able to pay the $1,000 that it's going to cost to be able to go and investigate this place. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know about everybody else, but I don't need to take it to a creepy place where my teammates, you know, might fall through the floor or, you know, have something crazy happen to it. You know, look, I can find you plenty of other places to, you know, check it out. But, you know, again, I think that people think, oh, well, if it's scary and, you know, and abandoned, you know, or old, it must make it, you know, much more haunted. And that's so not the, you know, case. Well, you know.
It's an issue of ambiance. I think the challenge is, you know, you touched on the subject of senses to me. My team will not go out and pay to be in these locations that are repeatedly haunted. I am not going to return and justify to my team, hey, look, guys, gals, you're going to have to pay $150 a person to get into this abandoned building. So, yeah. We specialize actually in working with mostly nonprofits. We work with buildings that are haunted, buildings that are active, and there's actually a difference, and hopefully someday everybody will understand that. There's hauntings and there's activity.
Right.
But we deal with places that are older, that are active, that are nonprofit, and we go in there and we film our show, and we talk about the organization that's running the building, and we'll do a little pitch for them and stuff like that towards the end of the show. Again, kind of drive interest, and then, you know, for people to go out and visit their website and maybe donate some money to them.
Right.
You know, we don't charge to have our show come out there. We help them, you know, we try our best to help get them some money to help them continue their efforts. You know, it's just, to me, I mean, no offense to the people that have been, but Waverly Hills Sanatorium, who doesn't know that's haunted? Eastern State Penitentiary, who doesn't know that's haunted? You know what I mean? I'd like to have people that have watched our show drive down the road and go, wait a minute, that's the Thomas A. Berry house. Holy crap, that shows we're on the show. That place is haunted, you know.
Right.
To me, that's different. It's a road less traveled. That's what we really try to base our show on, is a road less traveled.
Not everybody already knows about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's Keith Ramsey was part of the show, Deep South Paranormal and Sci-Fi. And he's actually going to come out with me next Saturday night. We're going to be filming our show at the old Lincoln County Hospital in Evansville, Tennessee. And he's going to be part of that team with us because he's the same way. It's not anything that is absurdly overdone. It's a building that's extremely active, and he's had a history in, and people know him. And I think, to me, it's good for people to see him still active, but it's in a place, again, that's very road less traveled. And I think that's what's important to try to keep doing in this business, is a road less traveled. Don't get me wrong, when we do Tombstone, that's hot. I'm okay with that all day long. But when it comes down to me doing my show, I want people to see the different, richer history of other places in America.
Places, you know, and again, that's why I'm not a big person on going to all these, you know, investigation events. I mean, they're great for people who, you know, have an interest or would like to investigate somewhere, you know, that's not a group, that they're not, maybe not a team, that they don't do this on, you know, on a regular. But
right.
We just all come, I mean, why would I want to go and pay to do something I do every single, you know, day anyway for free? You know? I'd rather, you know, like I said, go and find a new place that not everybody's knowing and get information, you know, on that. That's more my thing. It just seems like it's just becoming, you know, all about, you know, money and egos nowadays. I see it so much, and it's to be honest, it's sad because, this is a field that I truly love, and for most of us that are in it, we're in it because of those reasons. We have our own personal reasons, obviously, but, we love what we do.
Right.
So, now, what do you think as far as, we've got all these events coming in. We're talking about Tombstone, and you are actually going to be a speaker there, correct?
Yes.
And
Doc Holloway's room.
Yes. I can't even believe it. I wish it was this year. I mean, I know it'll come quickly, but I'm telling you, I'm really excited about Tombstone and all of the locations. I mean, we pretty much have, one of the town, there. So,
I tell you,
super amazing.
I did the math. Carol Malone told me what the cost is normally for those places for a team of 10 people. And they were selling tickets. I think there's some tickets available for like $225. I can't rent the Birdcage Theater for an overnight anymore, but we were going to be able to. But the actual cost to be able to do all these places came to $21,000 for 10 people. And, you're talking $2,100 a person for a 10-person group, and you're getting in for $225, and that's including your hotel and food?
Yeah, and that's the big thing, including your room and your meals. I mean, and the other thing that I really like, I had Carol on the show and we were talking about it, was the fact that, at the beginning I kind of was torn on it, but, we're going to be a family-friendly event so that people could come and bring their families, and there'll be plenty of stuff for kids. A lot of kids have an interest in this. But my concern, especially because I mentor children with abilities and deal with them on, and see the kinds of things that happen, I wasn't real thrilled. I was like, well, are they going to be investigating? How do I feel about that? And she said, that they were going to have, make available, like, babysitters and stuff like that for people who needed them. And I thought, good. I think that's important. I mean, this is a topic, actually, that we've, been going on, not only on the show, but my page for a couple weeks now. But, what are your thoughts about people now all of a sudden, bringing young children in to investigate and, starting these new, like, junior teams where they've got, all these brilliant, and I'm not talking teenagers, I'm talking, from 7, maybe,
8, 9, 10 years old. It's funny you bring it up because I'm really selective about ages. Right? We've done about 150 tours ourselves and hosted tours, and I always made it 16 or above. Honestly, the younger mind, I don't believe, is prepared for the opening that it would have, which is, to me, I think kids are too open in that younger age bracket. My daughter, for example, my 18-year-old daughter, it took her from the time she was 14 to just about 16 to be able to beg me to bring her on an investigation. So that's simply because I wanted her to mature a little bit mentally and again, spiritually as well. Right. You need to be prepared for this because it could get ugly.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. And I'm going to go dad on something in that building if you get hurt. You know what I mean? So, and lo and behold, of course, not a great example because the first investigation out, she got scratched. And we were filming a show, and for about 20 minutes of the show, you could not air that show. I went completely ballistic and came out with stage. I went off. But the thing of it is, I think it's a curiosity for younger people, which, to me personally, I don't mind them listening to the EVPs. It's an audio recording. You're not selling it to your house. But on the investigation, I am not for that at all. So, I consider what myself, I consider the age of accountability, which is 15, 16. I don't think their minds are mentally prepared for it. I don't think they're ready for it. I think they're too open.
Yeah. I agree. And, as I said, I have a mentoring program. And for the older kids, once they finish the full year, then what I'll do is I would, allow them to come on my show or go to one of the events that I'm at so that they could go out and investigate with me. But what I started finding was that, you know, they're still teenagers, and they're, like, all giddy and like, they can't really stay focused, and, you know, it was, I started seeing things, and again, one of the kids said, oh, you know, I was scratched and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and so I was like, no, you know, this is just not something, and I get a lot of people who are kind of, I guess, debating me on this topic, because they're saying, well, you know, if kids have the interest, why, you know, isn't it better that, you know, the families, the parents, you know, go out there and teach the kids how to investigate, and I'm just, and they say, because, you know, they're going to be curious anyway. Okay, so tell me, if your kid comes in and says, oh, Mom, you know, I saw on a show that you use a Ouija board, you can talk to, you know, spirits. Can I use one?
No, the two professionals. It doesn't matter whether you're standing next to them and they've got interest. You can't stop something trying to manipulate them. You can't stop something trying to attach to them. You can't stop that if their minds are too open and too unprepared for that kind of interaction. I fully agree with you on that. I've actually had to turn people away from the floor because they thought they could slide in a 13-year-old. Nope, sorry, you know, and I'm really big on this. So, you know, the buildings that we've done, you know, if you're going to do a tour on a building, you look at Tombstone. Tombstone's a highly active set of property.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you go to Sloss, because I'm doing an event in Sloss in February, it's a great Valentine's Day present, by the way, folks. You know, look at my webpage under Richard Ruin on Facebook. Come check it out. Look under my events. You'll see the Sloss event there. It's Offside Entertainment, as Christina mentioned earlier. Sloss has got some negative stuff in it. Not saying it's demonic. And, you know, the only thing that I want to breach is demonic. Because, oh my God, it is used so widely for theatrical effect. Yeah, for theatrical effect, it is used so widely. And I'm going to tell you, folks who listen to this, for a guy who's had 2 demonic experiences in the last 3.5 years, you don't want a demonic experience. And not everything is demonic. If you get scratched, it's not demonic.
Right.
They don't want to waste their time scratching you. They want to manipulate with your mind. They want to change your thought patterns. And they're not about poking up in a corner and going, hello. They can care less about that.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
If you walk into your house and you got the hair sitting up your arms, guess what? That's not demonic. Okay, so that's good news. But yeah, the reality television shows are hurting that part because they're ill-educating people on everything is demonic. So there's some demonic entities going on here. No. It's just activity. It's dark. Right. You know, I'm a real big proponent on it. Whatever you want in life, you are personified in death. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell people, you know, all the time, you know, there's a lot of spirits that, for whatever reason, you know, don't cross over. And if they were, you know, in life, if they were, say, a murderer or a serial killer or anything like that, you know, if they've died, they haven't crossed over, that's exactly the same way that they're still going to be. Right. So, you know, when you get somebody that says, oh, I was scratched or I was pushed, must mean a demon. No, absolutely not, you know. And I will tell you, you know, having these abilities, you know, my whole life and even investigating publicly as long as I have, you know, I can't say that I've ever truly experienced seeing somebody possessed. Do I believe that there is demonic activity, you know, out there? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. But I also think that a lot of it is misinterpreted because, again, you know, it's like we can have, you know, entities that are negative without, per se, them being demonic. Exactly. And it's just, people think it's just so black and white, like, okay, well, if it's not a nice spirit, that's a human spirit. And if it's not nice, then it's demonic. And, you know, I hate to break it to people, but I'll answer.
Yeah, you know, and I've had this discussion with people in the past, you know, because, you know, people have a lot of questions. And I've said, you know, when you have a loved one pass away, do you ever have them appear before you, like, right after death? Like, yeah. Well, okay. Do you know why that is? Why? Because that's when they're the motor, doing stupid stuff, but then they graduate in ability and become more aggressive, and they become more able to do more damage. And that's something that people have to understand. You're going to have the polar opposites of each other happen, you know? And the thing that scares me to tears is this whole demonic flipping thing. Come on. You know, read the Bible a little bit further. There aren't that many demons, okay?
Yeah.
Let's get that together real quick. But, you know, the lack of education is killing me. You know, our show is not that whole, oh, my God, look at that demon. It was not about that. We're all about the investigation, what happened. You know, we put the EVPs as they happen off my recorder, my wife's recorder, the other investigator recorder, on the show at the time they happen. So you kind of feel like you're part of what's going on. You know, and honestly, our medium is big enough to say, look, you don't want to go in that room, okay? And we don't go in that room. If he says don't go in there, he's only done that once. Yeah, he's only done that once. In a long time we've had him, you listen to that. Because, you know, don't try to be He-Man and it's a television. I'm going to go in there and screw something. Don't do that.
Right.
You know, your body is the best ghost detector you're ever going to have. If your body thinks you don't need to be there, don't be there.
Mm-hmm. And people need to listen to that more. You know, people are always saying, you know, I wish I had psychic abilities. We all have psychic abilities. Every single one of us. Some are stronger than others, you know. That's how it goes. I mean, some people, you know, by the time that they usually enter school, if they just constantly been being weird, you know, and having weird things happen, they'll say, but I'm not psychic. And, you know, I'm saying, do you ever get that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you walk into a room and you don't know what's up, but you just know something's not right, and then you'll end up finding out, and they're like, yeah, I have that a lot. Well, those are psychic abilities. And I'm like, oh, but I'm not psychic. You know, people's, you know, perception of what a psychic is so warped too. Again, from, you know, misunderstanding and having the correct, you know, education on it. I mean, there are all kinds of different abilities, just as you were saying. You know, people, some of them are just, intuitive, some are sensitive, some are empathic, some can, you know, only, you know, see them, some can only hear them, some can see pictures in their mind, the third eye. You know, some people like me can, you know, have a little bit of all of them. And so it really depends. And anybody can, you know, work on, you know, tuning in, you know, fine-tuning their abilities. But again, you know, you got to be careful what you wish for, too.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you can turn off.
Well, the funny thing is I have clairaudience. And I found out about that about 3.5 years ago. We were asked to come out and do a residential investigation. And I said, well, what do you want us to do? What do you want to do in the investigation? You just try to find somebody to cleanse the place? Or, no. I just want to see what's here. Oh, okay. So we were walking through the house in the daylight. You know, we're just doing a walkthrough with a homeowner. And I have a digital recorder going, as I always have. And we were in the master bedroom, and she goes to ask me a question. And it was what I don't even remember now, so long ago, but the question was so easy that I should be able to strap off and answer it like that. But instead, what happened was, I said, well, why it is, and then my brain went blank for about 1.5 seconds. So I went, I don't know. And I'm sitting there going, I'm keeping myself, I'm going, that's stupid. Why did they say that? So I leave and I go home. And I leave and I go home, and I dump my audio on my laptop, and I'm listening back to it. Yeah, there's an EVP here, there's an EVP there. And this is just a regular walkthrough. It's a 30-minute walkthrough, and I got 14 EVPs. And I get to that portion of the walkthrough, and when he asked me a question, and I went, why it is, and just when I say why it is, when I go blank, I got a male voice that goes, I don't know. I don't know. And so it's kind of happened like that. It's happened when we was the subtle cues that they give you. You know how it is. They give you sudden cues to let you know, hey, I'm here, by the way, just to let you know.
Yeah.
We're in the location, and on the third floor, and I have the ability now to be able to tell you probably about how many are in the room. And I was like, there's only one in here right now. No, there's two. No, it's coming in and out a lot.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, nowhere, I get this song in my head, what is the loneliest number that you'll ever do? And I'm like, where the crap is that song coming from in my head? And I said this song out loud. And the next thing I know is I'm getting an EVP. I put it back earlier and said, hey, he gets it, the big one.
Oh, wow.
Like, dang it, man, really? So it's just a little thing that they're always trying to do, but like you said, everybody's just different in what they're able to feel, see, or
getting around people for whatever reason, like I was just feeling like mad and sad and everything all at the same time. It was just horrible, and I finally had to get out of there, and they're like, oh, well, you're empathic too, and they're like, what is that? And then when you explain it to them, then it makes all the sense in the world. They're like, oh my gosh, like, how did it take my whole life and it took you 2 seconds to tell me what it was? And I'm like, well, a lot of people don't, sometimes understand. So it is very interesting the amount of, misunderstanding, misconceptions that people have, which I think adds to some of the issues that we have. And the other thing that we're starting to see a lot of is, again, a lot of egos getting involved, and, where teens think that, all of a sudden they're the best ones out there. A lot of backstabbing. You'll see one day, a team is all great friends, and they're patting each other on the back, and then somebody gets upset with the other one, and the next thing you know, they're doing everything they can to try to trash them and, out there and ruin their name. And, it's becoming really bad, I think. And, are you seeing a lot of it as well?
I am. Honestly, we get called for a few different teams from time to time, and we're mentoring now probably 8 teams around the country right now, just to help them, do better with what they're trying to do. Thankfully, they're mature enough to realize, hey, we don't have the answers, all of them, so we need to find somebody who does have the answers and learn from that.
Right.
But we're extraordinarily picky because, and I tell these teams, if you come on board and you want us to mentor you, I will teach you anything you want me to teach you. I'll tell you where to get reference materials to help educate yourself. I'll teach you how to approach investigations the way you want to. You bring drama, and I'm cutting you off like a bad nephew and a millionaire.
There you go.
I will cut you right at the knees and cut you right off and then send you packing. Because I'm not a bad guy.
To it. What benefit is coming to all of this? I mean, we're all out there with the same goals, and wanting to help, wanting to bring, more attention to the field so that, more people believe that this, phenomena does exist. And, for, most of us that have been, doing this for a very, very long time, it's like this is the moment we've been waiting forever for, is that where people would finally be open to, the idea of activity really being something that happens. And so instead you've got all these people and they can't even get along. So, it's like, okay, well, I mean, how do we know who to trust? Who do we listen to? These people can't even get along and understand anything. So it makes it, very difficult. And do you think that it's because, we're seeing a lot of this just because now of all the attention, and I've been seeing this forever. I mean, how many people would you say actually that want to, get a paranormal show actually succeed?
About 0.5% out of 100.
Wow.
Because, here's the reality again. You have to be able to bring something to the table that hasn't been done. And everybody's going to say, well, what do we do? Nobody else does. Well, that's bull, because what you do, a lot of people do. Like I said, another show like Ghost Hunters, where people are just going out investigating and you got 42 minutes of green screen, isn't going to work anymore. Nobody's buying that.
Right.
Another one, and no offense to him exactly, because the shows are different, there's an interest group. They're a fun bunch of guys. But that's never going to happen again. That show won't get bought. You look at a lot of shows that have been canceled on Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi was probably the biggest channel provider of paranormal entertainment there was. But here towards the end, I'm begging my agent to not even look at Sci-Fi. They would take every paranormal, they would take every paranormal show, one of the 6-9 shows, and then drop them like a bad habit. When they had something good, but it was a repeat of what they had before, they just kept on repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. And honestly, it's tough, because if you think that you're going to go out there and you're going to run around with a bunch of cameras and green light, and you're going to catch a bunch of evidence, yeah, you're going to have a good time. Is your show going to get bought? Probably not. It has taken 3 years and 3 show pilots, and operating completely different than any other investigation team that operates now in the field, to get to where I'm at now. It's been 367 investigations. It has been 77 episodes before I can even get close.
Wow.
And
because, again, are you some, millionaire? Because that's the other misconception, is everybody thinks that, you're going to get there, and then all of a sudden, you're going to be like a millionaire, because, now you're a reality star. Right?
Well, there's no money to be made in this at all. You might get your gas bill paid. And for the 3.5 years we've done this show prior to being looked at for a national network television show, we made nothing at all. So the 30 to 35 hours a week it was put into the show to be produced and edited, and put up on air. We made nothing. We had to pay our own money to get into some of these locations back then, so we got smart. We were paying money to get into some of these locations ourselves out of our own pocket. All the equipment came out of our own pocket. Heck, right now it's still does. This is not. No, it's not cheap. I mean, I try to gather up a little bit as I go along, and my team does as well, so we kind of have a big stockpile.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, you could probably make more in a really good job than you could as a paranormal reality television person.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Well, and also you say you're talking about sci-fi, and, sci-fi was a very big provider of, paranormal shows. But what I notice now is, although, they're not very popular anymore, all of a sudden, Destination America or something.
Destination America, you're right.
Yeah, is now there. But, at first I was like, oh, great, now maybe we'll actually get some good shows. And because I guess I'm one of these people who's, I'm always hoping things are going to be different. I always got that, that thought, this will be better this year. It's kind of trial and error. Well, I'm sure you probably saw it, but so the other night, it wasn't the other night, but for the debut of Ghost Asylum.
Oh, my God.
I did the thing, and I was like, wow, Ghost Asylum. Okay, that's a good concept. It'd be a team going in and investigating asylums. I would like to, watch that, because I've never done any of that. Oh, what a joke. So I was okay until about 5 minutes into intro, where they said, not only do we investigate, but we capture spirits and relocate them. And I turn around and I'm like, what? So I must have heard it wrong, because I was doing, I think, the dishes at the same time. So I'm like, okay, I got to watch this. I can make sure. There's no way that they just said this. How could this get on TV, right? I watch it, and they're like, all right, we're going to build this thing. We're going to catch it, and then we're going to take it where transport it. We're going to release it. And I'm like, what the hell? What are we, like, trapping animals now? Because when are you going to capture a spirit, and then you're going to release it? I mean, where the hell are you releasing it to? All you're doing is just putting in the car and taking it to another location. I mean, what the hell is that? How is that fixing anything?
Here's the funny thing about that group. The group is called Tennessee Race Chasers, okay? Mm-hmm. They're out from, I think, the Harlem area of Tennessee, which is north of Nashville. They actually originally had a show that aired one show and got canceled on Animal Planet, on one channel. Animal Planet aired their television show called Ghost, what do they call it, gosh? I forget.
What is it about, like animal, I think I'm saying that when you were talking about.
Yeah, so they capture, the way they ended the first show ever they had was they supposedly captured this entity, the Devil's Toy Box. Now, for those who don't know what the Devil's Toy Box is, basically somebody took 12 by 12 inch mirror tiles, glued them together, and then hinged the top one, and supposedly, when you have the hinge top open, you can drive a spirit in, and then you can close the top, and all they do is they're able to see themselves, and they can't get out. Now, it was like a train wreck, because the spirit actually thought this was a good idea. The guy looks at the camera. Now, I'm not from Tennessee. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. The guy looks at the camera and goes, let me show you how we do something down here in Tennessee when we get rid of it. Like, oh, crap. He takes it out to the backyard of some woods and proceeds to blow it up.
Blow it up?
Blow it up. He put a stick of dynamite or some crap near it and blew it up. And I'm sitting there going, I sent an email.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
I sent an email and said, so let me see if I got this right. You take the supposed ball of energy, and you put it in a box, and you put a stick of dynamite near it, and you blew it up. Now, did you think that you just blew it up and it went poof? Or do you maybe think that you went boom, and now you just split that energy up into like 6 different super people and release it among the population? Because that's all you did. And, you know, so I was shocked when I heard they came out with another show called, the Ghost Society, whatever the crap they go. And again, this is another show where there's 40 minutes with a green light, and I'm shocked that it made Destination America. I really am. But I was watching the weather channel today, and they had a Ghost Hunting show on there. So I'm like, okay, so the genre of television show stations now is changing. Some are becoming a little more open to the paranormal, but the Weather Channel? Okay.
Yeah, Weather Channel. That's a whole other thing. You never know. We'll be having some crazy show based off of that. And you know, the premise of that whole show, it kind of just reminds me of the silliness, you know, that people come up with in this field. Because the other thing it reminded me was they did a investigation a couple years ago in Oregon. I was speaking at a conference here in California, and I had met a radio show host, a syndicated radio show host out in Oregon. And so, you know, he was into the whole investigating and stuff, but he didn't per se believe in psychics. So when he found out that, you know, obviously he was like, oh, you know, I'd love to invite you out to my neck of the woods in Oregon to have you come out and do an investigation. And I was like, you know, sure. And he's like, well, so what kind of information would you need beforehand if you're psychic? I'm like, I don't need any, and I don't want any. I don't want to know where we're going. You know, just set it up and I'll be there. You know, tell me when to be there. So they picked me up from the one of the team members picked me up from the airport, and we went out, and I went to go do an investigation at some little diner that they frequent all the time, and there had been a lot of, like, back in the old times, had a lot of, like, Hollywood people out there. And so, you know, I walked through the day prior, and I wrote down all my notes. And so this guy wasn't going to be there that Friday. He was going to be there Saturday. So we walked through, and I just took it and wrote everything down, and I gave it to one of the other team leaders. And so the next night, the radio show host shows up after his show, and we go to investigate, and everything that, you know, I pull out the thing afterwards, and we get everything that he's able to validate it. Well, I said, you know, there's definitely something that is keeping, you know, the other spirits here, and it's definitely not nice. And I said, you know, my biggest thing is there's a lot of spirits here that do not want to, they're being held here basically against their will. They don't want to be here. And I said, you know, for me, you know, I normally, if I encounter spirits like this, I cross them over. And the guy, like, got upset, oh, you can't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't do that? I do that all the time. That's what I do. And he's like, no, a psychic can't cross the spirit over unless the spirit asks for your help. And I'm like, I'm telling you, the spirit is asking me for my help. And he goes, well, I can't rely on that. I have to see some validation. So the next day I get a phone call, and they're like, oh, my gosh, we actually did capture something, and it says you by name to please help us. So, and it happened to be right when we were, talking about all this. So he's like, okay, I believe you, and he's like, I'd like you to come back up, and we want to do a Halloween. We want to do this on Halloween. We want to do a Halloween special, and we're going to do a little event, and we're going to help these spirits by crossing them over. And I said, oh, okay, we need to do an event to do that? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I've got it all set up. He said, this guy is making me a replica. I said, well, how are you going to cross them over? Because he says, well, I'm going to bring you out there, but I've got somebody else coming to do crossing over spirit. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, yeah. Well, I have a guy who's building me a replica of the Ark of the Covenant. Okay. And then we're going to take that, and we're going to take, a bunch of religious medals and different things, and we're going to put them in the box. Okay. And then we're going to open the box, and we're going to have a rabbi come and say what he needs to say, and then invite them to get into the box so that we can cross them over. And I said, okay. So I'm still trying to comprehend this, right? And he goes, yeah. And we're going to have a hearse that's waiting, and we're going to load the box into the back of the hearse. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, and we're going to cross them over. I go, where? And he goes, we drive them over across the street to the cemetery, and we open the box, and we allow them to leave. Again, I'm like, that is not crossing. So that's crossing the street. That's not crossing over a spirit. Just because you go and take them to the cemetery doesn't mean that they're going to find, that's going to be a great, resting place for them.
What's funny is people listen to this, and I know the deal. But people listening, the folks listen, you can't make this kind of crap up. Okay.
I'm trying to tell you.
You can't make this kind of crap up. People have these strange ideas. He's going to use a rabbi. Well, what's a Christian? Okay, what is an agnostic?
Well, my feeling was, okay, you've got about 5 spirits that are there that, human spirits want to cross over, and you've got this one really dark thing there that made it very clear to me that he wasn't letting it cross over. And so I kept trying to ask the guy, like, well, what are you going to do about, that? He goes, oh, well, they'll just all get in. And I said, okay, that would be like, you got a hostage situation. And, the police come, and they say, okay, we just want everybody to come on, get in this box, and then we'll take somewhere. I go, do you really think that the hostages are going to get in the box with the, with the capture, the person who's captured them? Hell no. Sure. And I'm just looking at a car, and I was like, what, I'm sorry, but, I don't go out and investigate or do things to prove anything to anybody. I'm so far past that, I could care less. There's going to always be people who don't believe in this. There's going to be people who do. If you don't believe in it, so be it. That's okay. I'm not mad at you. You just haven't had it. Your own personal experience can't make that any different for you. But I'm not going to make this into a circus where you want me to perform and all this kind of stuff to prove that it's true. I mean, you got this kind of silliness going on. And, it just blows my mind. And I declined coming, and they're like, so be it. So they went ahead and they did it, and they videotaped it and put it on live stream so everybody could see it. They made an event over there, and they had probably about 30 or 40 people that showed up in this little tiny basement of this, little restaurant. And the majority of the people that I saw there were kids.
Of course. Yeah.
He loves to have the kids come around and watch this stuff. And I just, every bit of it blew my mind. I was just it just went from bad to worse. I couldn't even believe that this was really going to happen.
It's scary because now he's just poisoned 30 or 40 people's minds. It's a real scary part. I've had to turn certain things down too. This sounds stupid, and you're going to make a mockery of the dead. I want nothing to do with you.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's just, I mean, in my mind, I was sitting going, well, when I'm dead, I'm not going to want you folks to stick at me either. Okay? So, you know, that's just kind of how that's going to fly. But, you know, I've had people that come across me with some outlandish, crazy crap. And I've had to look them square in the eye. I mean, again, like I said, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I have no problem looking at you like you're stupid. And you say something is stupid, and look at you and go, are you sure you're thinking? Are you really thinking? Because it's just, God, the way of faith. Again, I think you got a big influx of the stupid movies. Where are we up to now? Paranormal Activity 75, something like that. You know, you got to say, I've had people ask me all the time, do you watch those movies? No. Why? Because they're bull. Yeah. They're garbage. They're fake. They're made up. It's Hollywood. Oh, so that's what can happen? Look, dude, if I was on an investigation and my wife got picked up in the air, thrown against the wall, and tossed down the stairs, we ain't going back out. Right. Okay? Right. Let me make that crystal clear. That is not happening.
And how many people, you know, if something happens, run around with their video camera 24 hours a day, you know, and capture stuff and then still stay there, you know? I mean, oh, it's just, you know, I just saw somebody, you know, slide across the floor and everything go upside down, but hey, we'll just keep on, you know, videotaping like it's nothing. Yeah. I go to, I mean, we go, I'm a big, I love scary movies, always have, always will. But I will tell you, I am so disappointed when I go to the movies. Like myself and my co-host of Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond, we go to the movies. We're big movie people, and so we'll try to go and catch something. And you always laugh at me because I'm just sitting there, shaking my head, getting so irritated. And he's like, what? I'm like, because these people are like believing this crap is true.
Yeah.
What do we, there was one that we went and saw, actually I think it was Paranormal Activity 5, I think. And that was even a bigger joke, and there were people like behind us like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that would happen if we use a Ouija board, and I wonder, and I was just looking at, and I just like, okay, I'm so done. Like, you know, when are people going to make something that's actually good? You know, it's just a bunch of crap, and in every movie they want to say, based on a true story, and maybe 2% of it. The rest is all, you know, added for entertainment.
Well, you know, you bring up really a sensitive subject for me. You bring up a Ouija board. Now, here's the gig. This is my 2 cents worth of information about it. But we're going to do a residential investigation. I have 3 rules. That's the homeowner 3 rules. When we leave here, we do the job we came in to do to help you out. Don't do any seances in your house. Mm-hmm. Leave the Ouija board alone. Mm-hmm. And don't investigate your own home.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I've had people look at me and go, well, what's the deal? Ouija board says they sell it toys or else it's a toy. Okay, well, let me clarify. It's not the piece of cardboard and the piece of plastic that does the problem.
Right.
Because what you're doing in the process, the conjuring you're doing to pull spirit activity into the home to play with a piece of plastic is what does it. Right. So when you do that, and you start saying spirit come, or spirit this, or spirit that, and you invite them in, you're opening a portal. Mm-hmm. And when you open that portal, 98% of you don't know how to close it. So when you open that door and you don't know how to close it, good, bad, ugly comes in. And, you know, I had a lady that we did an investigation for years ago. Oh, one second. Yep. I had a lady we did an investigation for years ago that was okay with the activity in her home. It's the same lady that had the issue with the, don't know answer I got. Mm-hmm. And she played at her dining room table the Ouija board every weekend with friends. Mm-hmm. And I explained to her, I said, now, you know, you're really playing Russian roulette here. And I'm hyper concerned for you. Well, that's not a big deal. Well, okay. Okay, it kind of is. We did a short video where I had a K2 meter at this lady's house at the dining room table. I laid on top of the table. I was just working with the camera guys trying to get some equipment ready to go. And the K2 meter goes completely insane. completely insane. Red, red, green, red, red, green, red, red. And I'm like, okay, can you stop it? And he stopped. Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, just as an experiment, ready for this other piece of equipment, which is a dosimeter. Mm-hmm. Right next to it, I said, all right, light them both on. And boom. I said, okay, stop. And it would stop. All right, one more time for the camera. Can you do that, please? I'm like, okay. The conversation I had with the entity in the home, where I said to him, are you happy that they think the board's a game? Oh, yeah. And what I got, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I said, did you figure because of the board? Oh, yeah. I'm like, when I play back the EVPs on you know, one of the reveal that we did, when I play back the EVPs, she's like, oh, God, it said that? Yeah, yeah. Are you going to rethink, you know, getting this house cleansed and not playing the Ouija board? Nah, it'll be okay. One of the EVPs we got in her master bedroom said, what a keel. Now, people think this is fun and games. Some of the experiences they could, they would. Mm-hmm. So, you know, people need to really aware of that. If they could get away with hurting you or killing you, they would. I mean, just that's the reality of it.
Right.
You know, we get some real creepy entities and spirits around this place. They want to hurt you. I had one personally tell me, help me kill them. On an investigation that I did, I'm like, holy crap. You know, if they could...
Interesting, because I just got a case that I was talking to we were just talking to somebody about, and, you know, they were saying that the spirit was trying to get one person to, like, kill the other spouse, and then the other spouse was, you know, trying to interact with the entity there to try to convince it to kill her husband. I mean, it's really weird how they were trying to manipulate it to you know, against each other. And, you know, again, people will say all the time, oh, well, you know, my grandmother, you know, is a psychic. She used a Ouija board, and she's a pendulum. And, you know, I want people to understand that, you know, all of these things are just tools. Just tools. So, you know, I mean, they can be used, and they have been used by psychics and people that know how to use them for generations and generations. But, again, it's for people who know what they're doing. Because anybody can sit down and, you know, play with one and open a portal. They're not going to have any idea. 99% of the time, something happens, something changes. It's no longer do they think it's, you know, Grandpa or Uncle Bob or, you know, anybody like that. All of a sudden now it's, you know, telling you to die, wants you to be killed, all this crazy stuff. They get scared, and they either want to then throw it away or shove it back in the box and act like it never happened. But the thing that they forgot is that, well, they didn't forget because they never knew that they were supposed to, you know, know how to shut it back down. You know, and I see, actually, at events, I've been to a few events where they've had a psychic do a seance, you know, for everybody's pleasure. And they've used Ouija boards in the seance. And, again, I sit here time after time after time, and not even these psychics who are supposedly know what they're doing, they don't even know how to didn't even know how to shut them down. Yeah. So I tell people, you know, it's best completely just to stay away from them, whether you think you know what you're doing or you don't, because I will tell you I'm about 98% sure that that's how I got my attachment when I was younger, as a teenager. Yeah. But I really do, because the few people that I did try to tell in school, so I wouldn't feel like, you know, the outcast, I tried to tell them. As soon as I would tell them, they would look at me all crazy. And this group of friends I had got this great idea that they came up with a way for me to prove I was telling the truth. So I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? And they said, well, we're going to have a sleepover, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring the Ouija board, and we're going to, you know, as we're asking questions, we want you to tell us, you know, what the answers, what the spirit is saying, and then we'll see if it comes up on the Ouija board. And so that's exactly what I was doing. And I was getting, you know, the correct things, and then, again, it kind of changed and started, you know, the answers were not good, and people got scared, and they wanted to stop it. And I said, you know, you got to shut it down, everything. The girl refused. She was all scared. Like, the next couple of days, things were going on, and I said, I'll come and, I'll get rid of it before I shut it down, whatever. And she's like, you can't. I burnt it last night.
Oh.
Because we got scared. We burnt it after. And I'm like, oh, crap. Okay, well, that's really not good. But I had that attachment. And to be honest, I know it's still with me. I was able to, it was able to be bound for a while. And then it kind of came back, many, many years later. It didn't do anything to me, but just let me know it was there. And, again, these things, just because you can investigate today and, get some kind of attachment or something that follows you home, and you may not have 1 ounce of activity. You might have some, and then it stops all of a sudden. People are like, oh, it decided to leave. It wasn't comfortable here anymore, or it went with somebody else. But then you turn around, and, 5 years later, you see this thing or something really bad happens again. There is no time on that side. So, they're usually going to wait until you're the most vulnerable, you have things going on around you, so that they're like, oh, you're prime, to be able to be attacked.
No, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things that Mark brings to the table. We do our show. We need to prepare ourselves sometimes beforehand. We'll get saved out before we go in. Or he'll look at us at the end of the show saving or something like he did to me not too long ago. You need to go home and get Billy Joe. That's my wife. You need to go home and get Billy Joe to sage you up a little bit. And you need to just a little sea salt. Because you got some luggage, and you need to, So the thing with us and him is that he can sense that and tell you what you need to do to restart your energy and detach the issue from yourself. And that's a godsend. I'm sorry, that's the next level, deterrent from getting attachments is having him. Because he'll tell you point blank what's going on. But, we've had to coach clients the same way. You got a little something. Here's what I recommend, take a nice salt bath, or if you can stomach it, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, sea salt and water, ingest that, and that'll neutralize your body energy, and it'll neutralize you, and it'll help you be able to release, the stagnated energy that's with you. And people sometimes look at you like you're crazy. Mm-hmm. But if this didn't work, I would not be doing it.
Right.
So, getting a priest to come and bless your forehead with holy water, quite frankly, isn't always the answer. Most of the time, it's not even close to the answer. I go by what Mark does, because he's helped train me in what I need to do for myself and for my clients. But he is definitely a safeguard. I mean, he really is, because we've been in some nasty places. We're going into one next Saturday that my director was in there one time prior, just on a tour. And, wow, he said the energy there was dark, and there's a lot of it. And, so we're going to be preparing ourselves before we go in there, but it's just one of those things that if you don't prepare yourself, you go in there thinking you're Superman or Superwoman, good luck.
Oh yeah, and then you'll get something, all right, but it might definitely not be what you're wanting. And again, my attachment was, when I was in my early teens, probably 12, 13. So, back then there was no instructions, I tell people I never consider myself, quote unquote, a psychic. In fact, I told people absolutely I wasn't a psychic because, I even at that age had a misconception of what psychics were, because psychics to me was like Miss Cleo, and, they were like, have you call the 800 number and they'll take all your money because they'll tell you you've got, demons. You got to give them all the money and they'll, get rid of you. Or they got a house with a big neon sign saying psychic. I'm like, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have any of that stuff, so that must not be. Even thought for a while I might be a witch. I think I saw some show on TV, some movie on TV, and then I think that was when Charmed came out, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm a witch. Like they can see things and they help people, and I'm like, no, still not like me. So I really didn't know what I was per se, and I didn't even accept the whole title of a psychic until I started investigating publicly, and the group owner wrote an article on every single case we did every single weekend. And so he said, oh, this is what you... I'm like, oh, not what I am, And he's like, okay, what can you do? And I'm like, well, I can see spirits and I can communicate with them. And he goes, you're a damn psychic. And I'm like, well, I don't care, So I ended up, sticking... But again, so many people don't, understand any of this kind of stuff, and the good and the bad that happens. It's really crazy how it really kind of all unfolds. But now you're talking about preparing and stuff. What kind of protection do you guys do before you go on a case?
It honestly depends. Every time we do prayer protection while we're at the site before we go in. We'll do a prayer protection. And that's not an end-all, be-all, but for the Christian investigator, it gives a little more security, knowing that. And quite frankly, a lot of the dead don't know to take that off.
Right.
So, if you go into that knowledge that the person you're going in with is a higher authority than what's in there, phenomenal. But again, we've also, sea salt. Sometimes we'll go in and have to go in with a recent energy or sea salt, and we'll ingest a quarter of a teaspoon and some mixed up water in a glass and hit it, and then we'll go inside the building so nothing can attach itself to you. We've done things like that, of course, smudging. And I really honestly have to say that after nearly 3.5 years, no one has come home with anything.
Good.
So we're doing something right. Yeah. And that's the important part. And it's people just have to understand that this could be a dangerous arena to play in.
It really can.
Really, oh, gosh, yeah. I've seen one person that was being manipulated, the thought process was being manipulated by a very dark energy. And to see the transference of who he was with the attachment and who he became after the cleansing, wow. It was like night and day,
Mm-hmm.
But he had no clue what was going on. All he knew was he hated everybody.
Right.
So it wasn't him.
Well, yeah, exactly. And but they don't know it. And a lot of times, again, when people experience stuff like this, it's much easier for them to just try to rationalize and figure something else out in their head, to say, oh, well, this must be more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy place.
Yes, that definitely is. And what I do find, though, too, is, like I said, our team is made up of, people from all different religious backgrounds and beliefs. And, we will, we all get together and we do a protection, together, or to, whatever they want to, ask for protection. The thing is that what we do find is that together, even though we're of all different, beliefs and things, our intent to go and help this person, all of us together, without there being any, little boundaries of, it's got to be, this way or that way. We all work together as a team, and, our results have been phenomenal. And what I also notice, and a lot of people don't realize that, is we educated ourselves in a lot of different types of cleansings and backgrounds because, let's put it this way. If you are, say, you're atheist, and you come in, somebody comes in to do your house, and they pull out, a Bible and some holy water, or maybe they're, Jewish or Muslim, that's not going to work. You're going to have a big problem on your hands, and if that's the only kind of, cleansing you know how to do, you might have an unhappy client, religious backgrounds or beliefs, because again, I don't care, it's not my business who people choose to, worship or believe in or anything like that. I'm here, for the clients and again for the spirits who need my help. So, I want that to happen however it's possible. And, sometimes you need to have more than just one, generic way to do things.
Oh, yeah.
And I ask people, now, do you guys kind of do that in your group, too?
Well, yeah, I mean, with Mark, we just kind of get an idea of who's in the house, what type of religious, faith-based, life do they lead. And because you have to deal with the dead belief system to be able to remove them sometimes. You gotta know, were they a Christian person? Were they Indian? Because, like you said, you may need to get a shaman in. So, it's all about what the dead you're trying to, bring out of the house and move on. You need to know what their faith base was, what they believed in, as much as your client, what they believe in, because I need to sometimes explain, especially here in Tennessee, listen, Mr. Christian, here's a challenge. You've got a couple of dead Cherokee here that can really care less about you praying to Christ. Okay? So, we'll have to come in here and perform a different style of service to them to get them to move on. Because if we don't try to close out based on what they were brought through believing, you can't do it. That's why when people scream, I need to get a priest, I need to get a priest. Not all the time. And I've seen a lot of times where priests have gone in the house where it works. So, they just don't have the confidence behind what they're doing, A. B, they don't have the background to correctly do it. Or C, they just don't have a clue, period. And they don't believe enough in themselves to be able to do it. And that all has a lot to do with it as well.
Right.
It really does. I mean, we use a lot of the earth elements because, to me, that's very generic enough to get through a lot of it. But, sometimes you got to go that religious route. Sometimes you got to go that faith route. It just depends. So, again, thankfully we have Mark, and, like on your team, with my team, he's Wiccan, I'm Christian, we have somebody on my team that's Jewish. I mean, so
right.
You have to bring all of those faiths together, so if you have a question, you can turn to that person and go, hey, what's the story with the Jewish way of closing out a death? You know what I mean? How do you do that? So we have that ability as well, but, it's just so, it's so convoluted that it's really hard, like you said, to have select the house and it's done. Not all the time. I actually had a medium look at me like I had three eyes when I told him I used vinegar water. They're like, what? Yeah, vinegar water. What? We're not making a salad. No. But I guarantee they won't be in the house when I'm done. So, and it is, I've had that look at some people before, and, then I tell them that we do, a binding ceremony around the house, clearing clockwise with sea salt and lock up the yard, after we cleanse the home, and then listen to what that's right. Well, if I did move them from the home, guess what they're going to do? They're going to linger. And the first time they get an opportunity to come back in, guess what they're going to do? They're going to come back in.
Yeah, absolutely. And because you try to get rid of them in the first place.
Yeah, so, but again, back to the original conversation. This is why all the reality television shows that are ghost hunting shows never do residential investigations anymore. Right. They just won't. You'll never see it on their show.
Well, and again, they don't do it, and so, that's good that they're not out there trying to act like they do. But, again, when people are, they're not thinking about the people who, are watching these shows and say, oh, wow, that looks interesting. I really like to do that, but I don't know how to do it. So we'll just watch this show, and we can do it like they do. It can't be that hard. If you go against it, it can't be that hard what they do. You just go in and you have camera and you take pictures and you do some audio recording, and wow, what's so hard about it? So that just tells you, how much people are, misinformed and just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I thank the teams that call me up and got me in state with all the questions, because it means that they're mature enough to realize that they don't have all the answers. The ones that burn me up are the ones that think they have all the answers and they haven't got a flipping clue. Not one.
And you see all the time, they would rather, try to take something on instead of, like, have anybody else involved. And again, that's why I say that, there's just way too much ego involved in this field now. Because for me, there are certain things that I don't want to delve into. One being, anything that I feel that could be, demonic, or a very negative entity, not because I'm scared, not even because I don't know what I'm doing, but it is because I have a terminal illness. So the main reason I network so much, with people around, that are in the field, because not only do I want to have people who I can call on if I need I need some help, but also I get people from all over the world who, call me or message me, on a weekly basis, saying, hey, we've got all this going on. We really need a team in this area. We don't know who to choose. Is there anybody that, you might know personally? And that's exactly what I do. Or I'll put a, post on my page saying, look, I need help for somebody in this area. If you're in that area, let me know. And people will respond. And, then I choose out of those people, number one, like people who have the most experience doing this, then the proximity, how close they are, and then I always have to make sure that they do not charge.
Right.
Because I still get people who will say, oh, yeah, we don't charge to do the investigation. We just charge, for them to pay our gas and food and everything. So, if that's the case, then I'll find somebody who is closer to them. Most clients, don't have me to do this, but I still find people all the time. I've still found teams, and, it hasn't been a real pleasant experience, but I have found teams that, I've dealt with that will say, oh, yeah, I will do this for free, but, or not that I'll just really, I can do the case, but we charge. And some of these teams are asking upwards of $300.
Yeah.
Like, what the, really? I'm sure I'm not going to send you to, help my client.
Yeah, there is exploiting the system. And, I told one lady, this was a few weeks ago, she called us out to her house and tried to get some clarity of what was going on. And at the end of the night, she's like, well, how much do you guys charge? And I said, we don't charge. It was about an hour and a half away. I said, we don't charge. Well, how about, with some gas? I'm like, no. I said, the one mission is that my team stays behind and help should never come with a bill.
Yes, and I truly, agree too. We never charge for any kind of our help. We never will. Same way is, like with being a psychic, I have never charged anybody for any help that I've given, any reading I've done, nothing, and I never will. I mean, I get a lot of people, and they'll say, well, Christina, it's no different than, back in the Depression days, when people weren't working, they had to use whatever skills they had to make some money, and this is, a skill I have, so this is where I'm making my money. But I say a bit, to other people, I just don't think that it's the right thing to do.
I get guilty when I had a lady make me a pie. She made us see when I had pie. And we were done with the investigation, with the cleansing, and you could just tell the house was lifted. You could feel it. And we bound up the property, and we're all gathering our gear together, and she comes in with this pie. And she went to hand it to me, and I'm like, we don't accept gifts. And, the sweet old country lady, she's like, well, I made you a banana cream pie. Oh, God.
Yeah,
okay.
They'll feel good, like, if you don't take it, because that's their hospitality.
I didn't want to offend her, but I'm like, pie. That was a personal thing.
She made that and spread it over it and everything. And
I love banana cream, so yeah.
So both ways around, it was all good.
It was all good. It was all good in the neighborhood. I love it. But, we had some really sweet clients, and, I even had one guy on my team was a client. And, he saw enough of what we did to want to be a part of it. Right. And, we had no experience at all in paranormal research, and I loved it because that means I didn't have to worry about changing any bad behaviors.
Yep. You don't have to get rid of all those bad habits that they've...
Oh, gosh, no. And he's been great, but he's another one. He's like, well, I'll get you guys pizza and move it. And I said, no, we're going to eat before we come.
Right.
Don't worry about it, you know. And then, you know, we try to leave her again. We try to offer us bread. And, dude, I love you, man, but we don't accept gifts. And I actually, you know, push his away. You know. But, you know, you're in the South down here, and people have that kind of hospitality where you come to the house, they want to try to feed you. But again, my guilt kicks in, and I'm like, no, we're good.
Right. Well, healthcare is a big thing, too, and we used to have a group that I used to investigate with, you know, they would say, well, you know, how much you charge? And he'd always say, you know, we don't charge anything because we didn't. But he would always say, oh, well, you know, if you want to, you know, have some food or some snacks out for us, that would be okay. And I kept saying, you know what? No, that's not okay. You know, but I wasn't the leader or anything, so I didn't really have much say so over it, and it was kind of hard. And you know, so it was like, oh, it's a great way, you know, for everybody to be able to eat. And they're doing these investigations at night. I would think that most people should have already ate before we left. And the other thing is that I'm there to investigate. And, you know, you take a break to start eating, everybody starts talking, and nothing gets done. Like, I'm not there to, you know, chit-chat. We can do it another time. I have things to do, right. But a lot of people don't get that. They love to do that, but I'm very focused when it's business. I don't have time, you know, to be over there playing around, or, you know, I'm very, very focused when I'm investigating, very professional. I mean, there's a time and a place for silliness and having fun, but it's not at a client's house, not doing an investigation. Some people just don't get that. Now, how many people are on your team?
For the show, typically I will have 4 to 5 on camera. And that includes Mark on medium, my wife and I, my other full-time investigator, and one part-time investigator when I have a bigger location like this weekend coming up. Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing a hospital, so that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so for better coverage, we're going to probably bring on, the additional investigator I've got, and then the guest Keith Ramsey from, do some paranormal pipeline things coming, so that'll be sick.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, what's funny is I typically have just as many production people as talent. So, it's like I've got 12 people coming, but only 5 are going to be on camera.
That's because people don't realize how much goes into production. Like, it's just something to say you just go out there and point and take the pictures and video, and that should be that's all you do, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, the guy that I've got is the director, Tommy Golden. He's had 2-3 years on Paranormal State. He's done the second season for Ghost Lives on Discovery Channel, and he's got a lot of experience in the paranormal entertainment television world. He's kind of like my little Nazi. He's kind of when he met me and he took over the production, he said, look, I'm taking over production, which means you don't ever need to worry about any of it. You just worry about capturing the evidence. And I love this guy for that. But I watched him in producers, and the camera operators there, and they look around and go, oh, God, here comes Tommy. I'm sitting there, maybe kicking back with a Coke waiting for my turn to get, the investigation, and, people just don't realize that you see a 1-hour show, but it's 9 to 10 hours worth of filming. Like, next weekend, our 1-hour shows actually take 2 days of filming to get there.
Right.
So, they just don't see that side of it. Like, oh, you got the coolest show in the world. Well, really? Because there's sometimes I sit in a corner in a dark room that's kind of halfway full of sleep. Okay? So, it's the whole of the glamour you see in a 1-hour show. It took me 10 or 11 hours to get there. You know what I mean?
Right. You're beat by, the end of the day. And that's, again, why I start laughing when all of these people are trying to cut each other's throats, or this is the other one I love. The team goes and they investigate somewhere, right?
Right.
So they get some really awesome, EVPs or evidence, and then they don't want to tell anybody where it's at because they don't want anybody else going and investigating in that spot because that's their spot.
They own those spirits. Yeah.
And I'm like, really? I mean, seriously? I didn't understand that, people, owned places. It was just, again, the things that, some of the stuff that, comes up with these teams and that they think is okay. I mean, it just kind of want to make up their own rules.
It's scary. It really is scary, And I was talking to the production company the other day that was looking at our show, and I was just candidly having a conversation with the casting director and the producer, and I said, why are there not so many people buying or putting ghost hunting shows in television anymore? And he said, honestly, because people got past that fad. It was good in 2006. It was hot. If you had a television show idea for a paranormal ghost hunting show, man, you were in. We got you, So they've run the gamut of that crap now, and it's like, if you don't have, again, a new idea that's going to turn ahead, you're not getting a show. And I jokingly said, well, what would be the next for the show? And the one guy turned to me and he said, Naked and Afraid, the Paranormal Experience.
Wow.
Naked and Afraid, the Paranormal Experience. I said, are you living outside of your mind?
Wow.
You've got people that lose their bowels at certain times. You've got people that lose their bladder control at certain times and stuff happens. You want to see that on television, really?
Right. Naked, I mean, come on. You're taking it way too far. Naked and Afraid in the wilderness, Naked and Afraid dating, and I'm just like, really? Like, it's, again, I think I'm just going to cancel TV if I see Naked and Afraid Paranormal. That's a pretty done deal.
I know, at that point, I would just be like, are you kidding me? Seriously?
Yeah, the nail in the coffin, like we've lost this field. It is completely gone.
It's a joke. I don't know. But he was diehard serious when he said it, too. Like, holy crap, man. And he's like, well, if you guys want to get naked and say, this is, I can guarantee you have the number one show. Like, why in the world would anybody who has the experience? Yeah. I was like, you want to see me on Naked and Afraid on Paranormal Experience? I got the face for radio. Okay? I got the face for radio, man. So let's not go there. But I'm a glad fit of radio, baby. It's okay.
There you go. Well, looks like we have about 6 minutes left. I tell you, the 2 hours when we have great guests, it just goes by so quickly. But I want to give you an opportunity to kind of plug your show, where they can find it, where they can contact you if they want to get a hold of you, and all that information.
Well, I mean, our show's on Roku on paranormal.tv through Paratech Television on Roku. A lot of people have that nowadays. If you want to go to the ParaEncountersNetwork.com, our show is run all day long on demand on Wednesdays on the PEN2 channel.
Okay.
On GhostTalesTelevision.com as well on Sundays at 9 o'clock. Sending with the World Television, Sundays at 9 o'clock under Ghost Tales Television there. And Google TV the same way. And the one channel I guess unfortunately we can't see is Frequency TV, which is the campus television that we have a channel on of our own at Columbia University in Chicago. It's a really cool place. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We have our own channel there. And then honestly, you can go to YouTube. I mean, we're not here to monopolize the industry at all. We're just having people go to the website so that they're going to kill me when I say it. But you can just go to YouTube and type in Hunting the Unknown Truth. That's the name of our show. It's an enjoyable show to get there. If you want to go to our website, it's www.ghostparanormal.us. And you can join that site as a free member when we have public hunts that come up or places that we're going to do that you might have an opportunity to get to. You'll get a notification of that. And again, Facebook. I'm under Richard Ruland. I'm not so pretentious that I have to use a public page yet, but this week that's how it goes along. And this channel, of course, has one as well, Hunting the Unknown Truth on Facebook. And our team, Ghost Paranormal, has a page as well. Reach have if you need to. Give a yell, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like.
Wow, but you're all over the place. So for anybody, again, that would like to speak to our guests, I'm going to get all of these links for everybody. I will put them on the Paranormal Connections page. If you're wanting to contact, make sure all that is, make sure to go out and show some support. There's not too many, per se TV shows in the paranormal that, I'm somebody who supports. But I definitely, support and endorse this one. So, make sure to get out there and show everybody, and Richard, that they've got your support of watching his show. Check it out on YouTube or any of the other links that we'll put up there. And, again, go to save, like it, let them know that you heard him on Paranormal Connections and what a great job he did. So I want to say thank you so much, Richard, for coming on the show tonight. It's been great. I'd love to have you on again in the future because I know that you had sent me, we didn't get a chance to do it tonight because of the technical stuff, but a bunch of EVPs that you have gotten over time, and I really wanted to be able to play them. So I'd love to have you come back on so that we could, do a show on that.
Absolutely. It's been a great time, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Anytime. And make it out here to California, give me a call. We've got lots of great places out here for you to do your show.
Well, I think you and I are going to probably want to be at Alcatraz to talk about entertainment at some point.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's in my own backyard, so I definitely got to do that. I've done it plenty of times myself, so, yeah, that's a for sure one. But I will definitely see you at Tombstone, if not sooner, at maybe one of the other events, but I wish you luck in everything that you're doing up until that point, and then I will see you next year.
Sounds great to me. I appreciate the time.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right, everybody. Well, this is our last 60 minutes of the show, 60 seconds, of the show. So I'd like to thank everybody for showing up tonight and supporting us, as you always do. Next week, make sure to check out the show. I am going to have Nicole Strickland, and so she actually does some ghost tours on the Queen Mary out in San Diego, California. She's been an investigator for a long time. It's going to be a very, very interesting show. So make sure to check us out next week. And again, as I said, make sure to check out all the pages. Please go to our Paranormal Connections and like our page, share the page with your friends, let people know that the show's out there and what you think about it. Again, we thank you for all the support, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody. Good night, Richard.